Welcome to Introduction to Maya series. I am your instructor Rohan Page. In this video, we are going to understand different types of materials in Maya. What will be our workflow for this session? First, we will understand about the common Maya software materials. Then we will see the common attributes of materials. So let's start with the session. To understand the different types of materials, let us create basic sphere shape. I'll go to polygon shell. I'll create one sphere. Turn off this sRGB gamma so I can see it in a default gray color without any kind of color correction or without creating any kind of a bright effect. Now, before moving to see what kind of materials we have in Maya, the first question which arises is, whenever we create any surface in Maya, why it is displayed in a gray tone, or you can say a gray color. So let us see that first, and then we will move to the types of materials. So basically, if you go to window, and there is an option called as rendering editors, and we have hypershade. This is the window which is mostly used to create a network for any shader or material. We are going to learn about it in upcoming videos. But when you will open this hypershade window, you can see that there is a tab called as material, and you can see there are three different nodes, or you can say materials are available over here. So basically, at the first we have Lambert 1, and this is a material which is by default available in Maya and which is by default applied on the surfaces which you create in Maya. So that's why whatever color we see on the created surfaces is gray. So if I'll change its attribute from over here, and I'll change it to red color. Now the default Lambert color is red, and you can see that my object has been shown in red color. Now if you create any other object, you can see that it is now displaying the red color. So basically, why we see this default gray, that is because of the default Lambert which is available in hypershade. So it is recommended not to change its default color. We cannot delete it also. Other two are different materials which are used at different times as per requirement. Now, let us see. It is a bit dark now. Right now, I'll just go to material attributes to make it little bit light gray color to bring it back to its original tone. So to see the common materials of Maya software, first I'll just duplicate these spheres. There are 5 commonly used materials in Maya, which is provided by Maya software render engine. So I have 5 spheres over here. Let us apply materials first, and then we will discuss about it one by one. So first, to apply material, to apply any material on surface, you need to select it, hold right click on your screen, then you will get a marking menu. In this list we have an option called as assign new material. Select this option. It will pop up assign new material window, where you can see there are a lot of different materials available over here. We have surface materials, we have volumetric materials over here. Right now, whatever materials we want to see are the part of surface material. So the commonly used materials, first I would like to apply anisotropic material. Click over here, and this material will get applied to the selected surface. Let us apply materials first on remaining surfaces, then we will discuss and compare all these materials with each other. Select other surface, and do the same process. Right click, assign new material, and this time we would like to apply blend. Select next object, right click, assign new material, and apply Lambert. Select next surface, right click, assign new material, then select Phong, and select last one, assign new material, and this time we are going to apply Phong E. Now let us compare them first, what exactly these materials are. Right, and materials provide the properties which is which is going to give you a complete visual feel for the selected surface. It has the ability to create properties like reflections, specularities, linear specularities, and all that, which is going to mimic real-time surface properties in 3D. So to compare them, let us first render them. I'll just go to render and render current frame. Turn off this sRGB gamma. Now talking about the materials, you can see that except on this sphere, all the four spheres have something in white color, right? This first of sphere have this white color line, which is vertical white color line, and others are having white color spot on this particular sphere. So these this particular white area is nothing but a specular spot on this particular surface, and this is nothing but depends upon the position of light in the scene. By default, Maya provides the light, so it is nothing but showing you the direction of that light. Now talking about the first material which we have applied over here, that is anisotropic material. Now anisotropic material have linear specularity. You can change the angle, you can make it vertical, horizontal, or you can rotate it at any angle. Not only it has a linear specularity, but also it can create irregular specularities. Why it is linear? Why it is not a sphere in a spot as we can see in other spheres? Because when light rays hit such kind of a surfaces, then light rays gets unevenly divided on the surface. And that's why it produces irregular specularity or linear specularity. Hence, whenever you want to create properties for surfaces or objects like hairs, or you want to create any CD, DVD surface, or anything which has a linear specularity like any kind of a metal, or to create an irregular specularity, we can say if you want to apply texture or pattern for foil paper, as you know that foil paper have irregular specularity, then we can use anisotropic material. The next material we have is blend. And blend was invented by James Blend, and hence it is renamed as blend. Blend material have high specularity. It is a high specular material which gives high reflections also, sharp reflections. Hence we can use this material for such kind of surfaces which are highly specular and highly reflective, like any metal, chrome, or you can say to create glass, mirror, we can use blend. As you can see over here, it is highly specular. The white area is quite large on this sphere. The next material we have is Lambert material. Lambert material do not have specular spot. Light rays gets evenly distributed on this kind of surfaces. So we can use Lambert material for matte surfaces to create the properties of matte surfaces which do not produce any kind of specularity and which do not reflect, such as any wall, such as any kind of dry wood, old wood, dry skin, which are matte, which are not specular, which do not reflect. Next material we have is Phong. Phong material was invented, or you can say created, by Tong Phong. Hence it is named as Phong material. Phong material have low specularity. You can see a very sharp specular spot is available on this particular sphere. So we can apply this material to mimic the surface properties like plastic. You can use it to create oily skin or wet skin, or anything which have a very low specularity. The next one we have is Phong E. Phong E material have controlled specularity. Neither it is high, neither it is low. It has controlled specularity. As you can see, it faded. It is now fading as soon as it is on the surface. It is fading on the surface basically. And Phong E can be used to mimic the same plastic object, rubber objects like that. So these are the 5 materials, commonly used materials in Maya: anisotropic, Blinn, Lambert, Phong, and Phong E. Now let us see what are the common attributes of all these materials. Common attributes means the attributes which we can find in any of these materials. I'll delete all these because right now I want to use only one material, and as you can see in this particular scene I have deleted the objects, right? So if we'll go to window, rendering editors, and hypershade, whether you have deleted the object, but still the materials which we have created earlier are still there. That data is available in hypershade. So if you're working on any kind of a complex scene and later on you delete any kind of object, but still the material information will be there in hypershade, which can affect your scene. It can make heavy. That information should be deleted. So you should go to edit and say delete unused nodes. It will delete all the nodes which are not applied on anything. So right now I have only Blinn material. So close it. Now, what are the common attributes of materials which we have over here? To see the attributes of material, you need to select object first, right click, material attributes. We have Blinn tab over here. The first thing which you will get in the attribute editor is the name of that material. It is recommended to rename your material as soon as you create it, because right now we have only sphere in this scene, but if you are working on a complex scene, then you may have to use Blinn for 2 to 3 or multiple objects 10 15 times, and it will come like Blinn 1, Blinn 2. So it will be hard for other person and even for the artist to recognize which Blinn belongs to which object. Hence, as soon as you are applying any material, you should rename the material. So I am renaming it as sphere. Next, you can see there will be a thumbnail which will display you the quick effect which you are if you are changing any attributes, those will be displayed in this particular sample. Next attribute which we have, that is the type. After creating any material, if you want to change it into any other material, then you can simply go to type, click on this arrow. There will be the same kind of a list of materials which are available in Maya. Now you can check, or you can see any kind of material. If you want to change it to Lambert, I'll click over here and it will get changed with the Lambert. Right. So at any point of time, if you want to change the existing material, you can use this type attribute. A next common material we have is color. Color is nothing but the color of that respective object, which is going to be displayed or which is going to be rendered in a final output, and even going to be displayed in the viewport. Basically, this slider will help you to go towards the darker and lighter tone of that respective color. If I'll click on this color attribute over here, you will get the color wheel. by using which you can change the color of this particular surface. You can change it to anything according to your requirement. Basically, you need to say done so that it will be finalized. So this is the color attribute. You can not only give the color, but also you can apply pattern. Maya provides wide range of 2D texture and 3D textures, which you can use to create different patterns. For that, you can see that in front of color, there is one checker box which is called as mapping button. Click on this mapping button and the pop-up window will come named as a create render node, which have a lot of different categories like 2D texture, 3D texture, environment texture, other texture, and other utilities and light nodes. If you want to create any 2D textures, basically Maya have two types of texturing, that is procedural texturing and bitmap texturing. In procedural texturing, you can use any of the texture pattern which are made available in Maya. By default, Maya provides these kind of default textures. So I want to use 2D texture, and that is also a checker. Click on this checker button, and rather than showing this color, it is going to display me the pattern which I am selecting now, that is checker. Now you can see, though I have applied this file or pattern on this surface, I am not able to see it in viewport. To display the texture in viewport, press 6 on your keyboard. And you can see now I am able to see the pattern which I have selected. And you can see, or you can observe over here in front of color, now there is no checker box, there is some kind of an arrow, and this is nothing but this says input connection. That means something, some pattern or some file or some node has been assigned to this color attribute. To see what we have assigned, you can simply click on this arrow and it is going to take you to the pattern which you have applied. We have applied checker pattern, and attribute editor will show you all the parameters related with that checker attribute. As you can see over here, we have color 1, we have color 2. You can simply change the color of these checker. Basically, whatever pattern you are going to select, it will show you all the parameters related with the color. Right. To come back to your material attributes, you can click on this option which says output connection. It will take you to the material attributes. So basically in color, you can choose either a single color or you can apply any available 2D, 3D texture patterns which are available in Maya. You just need to right click and break connection if you want to remove that particular texture pattern. If you want to apply transparency to your particular surface, then we have the next attribute called as transparency. To make it transparent, right now it is by default in black color. Black color is going to show your object as an opaque object. There is no transparency right now, and the value is 0. Black means 0 value. If you'll drag this slider towards white color, it is going to add little bit of transparency slowly as soon as you are moving this particular slider. So I want this much transparency. You just click outside the display and see, now my surface is transparent. You can use it to make or create any glass surface which is a transparent one, or to create any kind of object which have the transparency attribute, you can say property. So taking it towards complete white is going to make it complete transparent. What this white spot is nothing but the specular spot which Blinn have, right? So bring it back to black and it will be opaque again. Now the next attribute which we have is ambient color. Ambient color is by default set in black color, and it affects the material's color by lightening it and blending the colors. Okay, so basically, as you can see, if I render it, you can see over here that my sphere have light tone, it has mid tone, and it has some shadow area also because of the default light, right? So if I'll increase this, I'll just scale it down a little bit. If I'll increase the ambient color to white, complete white color, and take a render, I'll just keep this image, so later on we can compare the changes. Now see, it looks very flat. It has reduced whatever shadow area or shadow information I was having on the surface, and it is taking the surface look or pattern towards very much toon, or you can say 2D look, without any kind of shadow or mid-tone information. It's looking completely flat. Right, so basically this is what the ambient color, it is very useful when you have any kind of ambient light in your scene, then this ambient color attribute can be used. I'll bring back this color to default black color. Next attribute which we have is incandescence. Incandescence attribute is nothing but the color and brightness of the light that a material appears to be emitting. Means whatever material, color, or light is available in your scene, it will mimic that, like the light rays are coming from that particular surface. For example, you want to create a lamp with a yellow color, or lamp with any kind of a white color, and it will mimic like that white color is nothing but is because of the light inside the lamp. So in incandescence, if I'll increase this value for white, it will completely brighten up this particular sphere, and it is looking like, if I'll just turn off the green and change the background color, alt B, now it is looking like some kind of a moon, or you can see it can be any kind of a light which can emit and illuminate the scene. Basically, it is just used to mimic as if it is a light. It is not going to illuminate any surfaces. Mostly we can use it at the time of mental ray to create a little bit of uh, light with the help of final gather, but it is going to mimic as if it is light and emitting that particular color of light. You can choose any color, so it is going to mimic as if it is a blue color light or lamp available in your scene. Bring it back to the black color. The next common attribute which we will find in every material is bump map. Bump is nothing but the roughness of the surface. We have the roughness on skin, we have roughness on walls, bricks, and whatever surfaces you think that can have a roughness. To add that, we can use bump mapping. And bump map completely depends on the grayscale values of that respective texture. So black, if the value is complete black, then uh, there will be the depth shown in the rendered output, and if it is white, then it is not going to affect it. It may take the surface roughness towards outer area, or you can say towards upward area. So let us see how we can use it. For example, I'll click on this mapping button of bump map, and this time I'll use this 3D texture, and I will apply leather, right? And now I'll just select this 3D placement node, by using which I can manipulate the bump. Take a render to see it in a proper way. See now, the leather texture we have applied as a bump map, so it has calculated the grayscale values. So the value where it is a black, or you can say dark gray, some kind of light gray, so according to that, that particular area is now moved towards downward area, and whatever area is having a white color information, is at upward direction. So this random values is going to create roughness on the surface, but it is not going to change the shape of surface. It is just adding roughness to the surface. So if I'll click over here for, I don't want to see RGB output, it is alpha output. You can see that though I have applied the leather pattern as a roughness, the basic shape of my sphere is not affected by that roughness. The shape is the same. It has only added the roughness within the surface. You can simply go to input nodes, again go inside, come to output node, and you will get to that bump 3D node. And now with the help of bump depth, you can reduce the depth, for example 0.1, and you can see there will be less number of surface roughness available on that particular sphere. So let me just keep this image. I'll increase this bump depth value to, for example, 2. Take a render. Now check it out, the difference with less number of depth and with higher number of the depth. So you can definitely work with this, not only with positive value. I can use negative value also. I am mentioning -1, so it will reverse the roughness. Now you can see whatever surface area was at upward direction has been now moved to downward direction. It has reversed the grayscale information available on that particular texture pattern. In this way you can apply bump map. To remove this map, you just need to move your cursor on that attribute, right click and break the connection. Next attribute which we can find in materials is translucence. Now what is translucence? I'll just delete this 3D placement mode. Okay, so what is translucence? It is the ability of that material to transmit and diffuse the light. Okay, so basically it absorbs the light rays beneath the surface and then diffuse it in all directions. Or else, in other word, we can say that it gives the ability to that surface to let the light rays scatter within the surface. We can see this translucence effect in our skin also. If if we keep our hand on a torch, and if you turn on that torch, you can see the color inside of our skin, which has a red color of that blood and anything. So the light rays of that torch scatter within the skin, and that's why we are able to see the red tint or red light within our skin. So that is nothing but the translucency. It is that ability. Basically, we can use this translucence to mimic skin, or we can use it to create, to mimic that the light scattering within the lamp surface, like that. So you can increase the value, and it is going to increase the translucency, that ability of scattering the light rays within the surface. The next common attribute which we find in all materials except Lambert, that is specular. Okay, so basically specular color, you can change the specular color. Right now you can see we have a white color spot on this particular surface, so you can change it accordingly. What color of surface you have, according to that you can change the color of specularity. Right now I'm using this yellow color, and see now the specular is having that respective color which I have used. Right. The next thing which we have is reflectivity, and this value is going to control how much sharp or uh, less reflection you need to see on the surface. So let us see how it works. I have blend surface over here, and I'll create a basic plane, on the grid, and let me create other sphere. Okay. Now I will apply new material on this sphere, that is Lambert, which is not at all specular, and if it is not specular, it is not going to reflect anything. I'll give it the name as sphere 2. I want a reflection on this floor, so I'll assign new material, I'll assign form, and I'll rename it as floor. I want to create a tile pattern. So to do that, I'll go to color attribute, click in front of this mapping button and apply checker. You can change the color as per your requirement. There is no such reasons to select any kind of color, but if you have any reason, you can choose whatever color you want to see on your particular surface. I'll go to material attribute of this blend and change the color to red, and I'll choose this, go to its Lambert attribute and change the color to, for example, green. Okay, now as you know that our in this particular scene we have two specular materials, that is blend on this red sphere and form on this particular floor. We have applied Lambert on this green color. So let us see how I can get the reflection in render. So render the scene and you will get to know that there is no reflection which is seen in the final output. Why it is not seen, though we have applied such kind of materials which can reflect? That is because you need to turn on the ray tracing calculation, or you can say ray tracing process of the Maya. Go to render setting. In Maya software tab, we have an option called as ray tracing quality. Click on this particular attribute. As we can see, this particular option is now turned off by default. Unless and until you're not going to turn it on, the ray tracing which have calculating the reflection and refraction is not going to work. So turn on this option, ray tracing, close it, and now take a render. You can see we have the reflections on the surface, and the reflections are on that surfaces only which have specular materials like this one and this one. Now if I just keep this image, we can control how much reflection has to be there on that respective surface. I'll go to material attribute of sphere and go to its reflectivity attribute and reduce the value and take a render. Now you can see, as compared with the last reflections, it is having, just check it out over here, the reflections are now reduced. So with the help of reflectivity attribute, you can definitely control the amount of reflection you want to see on specific surface. If I'll increase it, save this image, the reflections will be sharp, right? So basically these are the common attributes of the materials which we can find in Maya. So let us see what we have learned in this video. What we learned. We have seen that anisotropic, Blinn, Phong E, and Lambert are commonly used materials in Maya. Anisotropic, Blinn, Phong, and Phong E are specular materials, whereas Lambert do not have specularity. Color, transparency, ambient color, incandescence, translucence, bump, specular, reflectivity, reflected color are common attributes of material. For any query, you can follow me on Facebook, or else you can write me an email on rohan.pageanimator@gmail.com. Thank you.